Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome once again to another one of our artist retrospective shows. This is actually part 3 of our Black Sabbath show. I've got with me once again Chris Alo, who's going to join me for this third part on our Black Sabbath journey.
How's everybody doing out there?
Thanks for coming again, Chris. Appreciate
again,
it.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me. I could talk about my favorite topic, Black Sabbath, all day.
So originally, guys, we were just going to do the 2 parts. But we realized that it went so long, we realized that we never talked about our top 5 favorites. We also kind of glossed over
a few little things
here and there, so we wanted to kind of come and finish that. But more importantly, I have some Black Sabbath memorabilia, but nothing like this guy's got. And we figured it'd be kind of fun to show off some of the odds and ends and all sorts of stuff Sabbath that Chris has accumulated over the years.
Yeah.
And there's some pretty cool stuff here. So I think you'll get a kick out of seeing that. So we're going to kind of show you some of that. So first off, a couple of you kind of got on our case a little bit that we really didn't talk much about Live at Last. We kind of just mentioned it in passing. And maybe we did that because, that was at the time not really an official release.
Yeah, that's true. I was going to say, according to Tony and Geezer, that was an unofficial
didn't want that
album.
they
did not.
Want
that was terrible timing right there when they were trying to relaunch the band with Ronnie. So,
But, years later, we got an official
the far
version,
superior version, yeah.
Right, which is the Past Lives, okay, double disc set, so basically Live at Last on steroids, and a ridiculous set.
Right, Megalomania's on there. Yeah. There's some great tracks on there. They cleaned it up with the audio a little bit.
Yep.
Nice packaging. It's great.
Yeah, Tomorrow's Dream, Sweet Leaf, Killing Yourself to Live, Cornucopia, Snowblind, Children of the Grave, War Pigs, Wicked World, Paranoid, Hand of Doom, Hole in the Sky, Center of the Universe. I mean, come on. That doesn't really
right, yeah, Hand of Doom, that's, I believe that's got the version with the alternate lyrics, if I'm not mistaken.
That could be, I don't remember.
And if I remember right, I think it's got the ending goes into... It has a rat salad, but it's not listed on the back of the album. Again, if I remember right. But yeah, disc 1 is mostly the original Live at Last, and disc 2 is the bonus material. But yeah, it's a great disc. If you're a Sabbath fan, it's a must-have.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. And a bunch of you asked about what about the solo stuff that Tony did, specifically with Glenn Hughes and of course the Iommi album. So the first one that came out was this one, if I'm not correct, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Actually, it was the Iommi record was the first one.
Correct.
In
so
2002, maybe? Something like that.
And Chris has got it.
This is, I have an autographed copy.
Look at that.
Of the Iommi record. Which, looking at the track listing, it's amazing that this thing did not sell millions of copies.
Yeah, because, all the hot singers of the day are on here, right?
Phil Anselmo, Serge from System of a Down, Billy Corgan,
Dave
Pete
Grohl.
Steele, Ozzy, Dave Grohl. How did this thing not sell, like, a ton of copies? But unfortunately, there was, of course, no tour for it. No shows. Sabbath was busy doing their reunions. And these records, they always seem, Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, these always sort of seem like projects more than an album from a real band, and they always get lost in the shuffle.
They do. And I think the fact that it had all these different singers on it, as cool as that is,
right.
It just doesn't come across as like a kind of a band thing.
Absolutely.
And I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of this album. It's okay.
I liked some of the tracks. I liked
the riffs are great. Tony's great.
Yeah.
some of these singers I'm just not really that into.
The Billy Idol song is like did he write those lyrics at lunch? But I like the Phil Anselmo song.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. There's a couple good tunes.
I like I love the Cult, so I like the Ian Astbury. I like the Henry Rollins song too. Yeah, not terrible. But yeah, and this of course was what Tony originally wanted to do for Seven Star.
Yeah.
Have a different singer on each track.
Yep, exactly. So some people dug it, some were whatever, but not a big seller.
No, definitely not.
This actually was something that was kind of percolating for a while.
Yes.
And eventually got released as the 1996 DEP sessions. So that's Tony Iommi with Glenn Hughes. So basically, 10 years had passed since the 7-star debacle of a tour.
So they started to get together. They were working on this material. Recorded it in '96.
Yep.
It didn't officially get released until 2004.
That's right.
Because of this.
Yeah.
This was the 8-star bootleg album.
Yep.
That was factory pressed and sold in stores around the world, and it's a rougher version of the official album, and it's basically what happened with Kiss with Carnival of Souls. The record was so heavily bootlegged, somebody was finally like, "Oh, just put it out
already." Yeah.
So you're losing so much. Of course, the big difference between 8-star and the Depth Sessions is 8-star has Dave Holland from Judas Priest on drums.
That's right.
And Tony was like, "Yeah, we can't put it out like that."
Yeah, no, because Dave got into a lot of trouble right around that time.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But it's not. What do you think of the record?
Well, I love it. For to be honest, I just wanted one difference. So that the tune "Shaking My Wings," which is on here,
that's the Jethro,
which is actually a Jethro Tull song
from a Jethro Tull tribute. I think.
No, it's actually from the Benefit album, but it's I'm trying to think of the name of the tune. It's actually, they changed the title and everything to "Cry You a Song."
I think you would know better than me, Pete. You're the much bigger Jethro Tull fan.
Yeah, it's actually "To Cry You a Song" by Jethro Tull, but they called it "Shaking My Wings." And from what I've heard, Tony doesn't even play on that song.
Yes, I think you're right. It's just Glenn Hughes completely.
But this was the official
one.
And I dig this a lot. I think there's some cranking tunes on here. Like that song "Gone" is great. "Don't Drag the River" is great. "The Time Is the Healer." "I'm Not the Same Man."
"I'm Not the Same Man" I like a lot. I like this record. I always liked it. But recently, in preparation for this, I listened to both that and Fused back to back. Yeah. And I was like, wow, Fused is...
Well, Fused is fully realized, I think.
Yeah.
That's probably... this was kind of like, let's just get into the studio. It's been 10 years. Time heals all wounds. But I tell you what, Glenn sounds great on this.
He does. He sounds great on both records.
So fast forward a couple of years,
less than a year later, after the Depth Sessions, this record came out, Iommi Hughes Fused, which is a monster. To me... The guitar is so much louder and just ripping. It's a lot less soulful than the Depth Sessions.
I agree with you.
It's a lot more,
But man, it's angry. Wasted Again.
Yeah.
I Go Insane. Love that tune.
Great tune.
Love that tune. Dopamine is great. How catchy is Dopamine?
Yes.
Right?
Unbelievable.
Just a lot of really good tunes on here. And heavy. And I don't know, when I heard this, I want these two guys to make this happen.
Yes.
Don't count it out either, because I have this feeling that we have not seen the last of Glenn Hughes and Tony Iommi working together.
I hope not. I hope not. I did 2 separate interviews when with both Tony and Glenn when that record came out, and they were both planning to tour. Unfortunately, never happened. And I'll try and make it quick. A quick Sabbath side story is that Tony Iommi told me the next time I interviewed him that the reason this record is what led to the reunion with Ronnie James Dio a year plus later. The plan was Tony and Glenn were going to tour for the Fuse record. The opening band was going to be the Geezer Butler Band, and the headliner was going to be Dio. And the plan was Geezer would open, Iommi and Fused are the middle act, Dio headlines, and then every night for an encore, they'd all come out and do 3 Black Sabbath songs. And that's, while they're talking about this, that just turned into, well, why don't we just do something together and, you can do the Glenn Hughes thing later on. And of course, Heaven and Hell lasted a couple years, and the Hughes thing was unfortunately put on hold. Yeah. But hopefully, yes, I absolutely hope they can get back together. And man, I got a feeling that Glenn, because he's so good in concert now, I think more than ever from speaking to him, I really think he wants to do something with Tony to kind of prove, listen, I'm sorry what happened.
Tony's going to get bored after a while.
Absolutely.
I mean, come on, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I know Glenn's busy. Glenn, he's got the solo career that's riding high. He's out touring, doing all the Deep Purple stuff now.
Yes.
He, every now and then he plays some live shows and records an album with Black Country Communion.
Black Country Communion. Yeah.
And Tony now that Sabbath is done, Tony's got time on his hands, right? So don't count it out, and I hope it happens.
Yes.
Because let me tell you something. Glenn Hughes sounds better than ever.
It's a monster. He's a monster.
Better than ever.
I know we talked on the other one about Tony possibly doing something with Glenn Hughes or Tony Martin. If I had a pick, I'd send him into the Glenn Hughes camp for sure.
Yeah. And, they have enough material that they've already done together. They could play half the 7-star album and tunes from these two and record a new album. And
no doubt.
You got a full show right there.
And when I interviewed them at the time, Glenn Hughes said he would sing any old Sabbath songs that Tony wanted him to do. He's like, I'll do it all.
Wow.
So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, we'll see. Another one that we kind of forgot about, Ian Gillan and Tony Iommi, obviously they worked together on the Born Again album, so they did this kind of little EP thing called Who Cares, which was basically they got together to record a couple songs to raise money for a charity. It was
Rock Aid Armenia?
Yeah, I believe so.
Which they originally did, right? Their version of Smoke on the Water.
Yep.
With like a who's who of UK rock stars.
Yep. And I like this a lot. I thought it was kind of cool to hear Ian and Tony playing together again.
Yeah, I wish there was more.
John Lord was involved in it. Nico McBrain. I mean, it was kind of like a little superstar group there.
Definitely.
And even though Ian's, doesn't sing like he used to back in the days when he was in Sabbath, but still it was kind of cool to hear. But of course, John Lord died shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
And it just proved to be a one-off. But again, these two guys have talked about doing something together.
Absolutely. It would be great to see as well.
So we'll see. All right, so I got a couple live things here I want to talk about. So we got, I think we mentioned this, but The End, which was the DVD chronicling the last show,
which I should mention, The End, the version that was shown in theaters, right, is the version that's on Showtime, but the version that's a different version than the version that's on the DVD. Here. Because
two different shows, right?
Yeah. The movie version. I mean, it's the same concert, but the if I'm not mistaken, but the movie version has nice little interviews kind of spliced in, to really make it feel like a movie. Yeah. Whereas the concert is just the concert. So I'm wondering if they're saving that version for another release later on.
Who knows? But if you get this, you get the Angelic Sessions, right?
Which is awesome. Oh, man,
because they play all these songs that they did not play on the tour.
And it's like, wait, why could you do this?
What the funniest thing for me in watching that is like what a cranky bastard Ozzy was.
Oh, yeah.
Those. I mean, he was just
when he's yelling at the camera, how many more times are we going to do this?
He wants to go out to lunch or whatever. He's just like, just come and do my vocals and one take and we'll be done. Like, nope. But anyway, they did some cool songs on there that they did not play on the tour, which was
very, very weird to see them do changes.
And Tomorrow's Dream.
Yes.
It's like,
which I did see them do opening night on the end tour in Omaha, Nebraska.
Wow.
I think they only did it like
a couple times,
and that was it, which was a shame.
Yeah.
But that's a great disc.
It is. And then there's this one, which is the Gathered in Their Masses, which came out, a couple years ago. This is pretty cool. This is from...
Love that disc.
Yeah, this is quite good.
From Australia.
Yeah. Again,
from the beginning of the 13 tour.
And again, this had a couple tunes from the 13 album, which is kind of neat.
Yes.
They dropped after a while. I never got that because a couple of those tunes went over very, very well live.
And I could never understand, okay, your 13 record hit number one in 30 or 40 countries.
Play one or two songs, right? I mean, I lucked out because when I saw them in New Jersey on that tour, they did play, I think, 3 of them.
Right.
Which was kind of cool.
The
PNC Arts?
Yes.
Yeah. Which was kind of cool. And then I got this kind of little oddity, which is the classic albums, Paranoid on Blu-ray. It's kind of neat. Everything you want to know about the Paranoid album and the recording of the album. Got all sorts of interviews and what have you on there. Kind of a cool thing. So with that, all right, we're going to launch into some merch. All right, we've got actually no. Before we do the merch, let's talk about our top 5 favorite Sabbath albums of all time.
Good thinking.
I'll let Chris go first.
All right, mine is fairly generic. I know a bunch of friends were like, "Oh, I could pick yours easily." My number one Black Sabbath record of all time is Mob Rules, my favorite album of all time. Number 2 for me, kind of a tie between the Paranoid record, as played as it is. It was the first Sabbath record I ever got, and Heaven and Hell. My number 4 record would be Black Sabbath 1, and my 5th, I think it's the best. It just edges out Born Again. I think it's the best non-Ozzy Sabbath record there is. and it's Eternal Idol. I just love that record.
Non-Ozzy, non-Dio.
Yeah, I'm sorry, non-Ozzy, non-Dio. And yeah, that's So to me, the Mob Rules, Heaven and Hell go together, like Black Sabbath and Paranoid go together, and then Eternal Idol's on the bottom.
Yep, I hear you. So mine, we both happen to wear the shirts of our favorite albums. So my favorite is Volume 4. I think I mentioned that in one of the other videos. Volume 4 has been my favorite for like a million years. My second favorite is Master of Reality. So to me, those are the cornerstone for me.
Which also go
hand in hand. Yeah, no,
you're like bookends.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. My number 3 is Heaven and Hell. Like I mentioned in the other show, Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules are so closely linked. Mob Rules is just going to sit outside of my top 5. Probably comes in at number 7 or so, but doesn't mean, not to discredit it at all. My number 4 is the first album, Black Sabbath. And my number 5 is Born Again. I've got a real soft spot for Born Again. So some of you may be asking, there's no Paranoid there. If we would have done this show 25, 30 years ago, it probably would have been number 1. As great as it is, and it's legendary. I think because I've heard it so many times since I was, like a 12-year-old kid, 13-year-old kid, it's kind of softened its impact. Again, and we've said this, probably the most important album in my musical career, okay?
Oh, me too.
But now, all these years later, when I talk about my top 5 favorites, it's not there because it's just too familiar, I guess. I don't know, whatever. But that's our top 5.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But yeah, great. You can't lose with any of them.
No, and that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, if I were to say, well, what's my number 6? It might be Paranoid. It might be Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Mob Rules is up there. There's a couple of the Tony Martin era albums I love to death. Sabotage obviously is ranking right up there. I love the 7 Star album. Dehumanizer, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I love
13 is.
Yeah, I love, 13. We both like it. I know so many people that.
So for all you guys that are just so hung up on Never Say Die and Technical Ecstasy, sorry that we didn't mention them here. But you already know our opinions on that, so it's all good, right? It doesn't really matter. Everybody's got their favorites.
You can't lose.
Everybody's got their favorites. So, all right. So, without taking up a ton of time, Chris especially has got a ton of like memorabilia and merch, and he's got cool stories to tell with a lot of them. So I'm going to let Chris kind of pick what he wants to show here because there's just so much cool stuff. He'll kind of pass stuff on to me, and we'll kind of hold it up close.
Okay, cool.
Whatever. Yeah. And there's stuff all over the place. I don't know. You want me to just grab some of these first?
Sure.
Right. So. For those of you who are, and a lot of people still do this today, but for those of you who are like, maybe I'm a little older than Chris, but back in the day, the big thing was if you were a hard rock and metal fan back in like the late 70s, early mid 80s, all throughout the 80s, even today, but it was really
it's really made a comeback.
It's made a comeback, exactly, right.
Blows my mind. Vinyl made a comeback, and now battle vests or battle jackets.
Oh yeah, but in the early 80s, man, this was the shit, right? So I mean, back in the day, I had a Black Sabbath Mob Rules denim with the sleeves cut off, and I had pins and shit all over it. I don't know whatever happened to it, but whatever. Chris, however...
Yeah, I saved mine.
Chris has got his, all right? So there you can see the cool artwork, and he's got all sorts of stuff on here. On the front.
I had that done in 1987.
Look at this. You got the Live Evil. Mob Rules there. Got Born Again here. And what else we got up here? Another World Tour
tour patch.
Tour one. He's got a couple pins and things, Oh, I had this.
Oh,
the
did
little
you?
Blue Sabbath pin.
That's
I
from
totally had that.
The Blacklight.
I totally had
the Blacklight poster.
Yep. So there's that.
So there was that one.
I guess I'll do the switcheroo here.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. We got so much stuff in limited room in this, really expensive studio we got here. So.
Well, you want to do that one next?
Yeah, we can do that.
Because this is one my friend Shannon did when I was in first year of college.
You got the Reaper on the back.
That's from the 7 Star poster.
Look at that.
Do you remember that poster, Pete?
I don't.
No. Yeah, it was a mall poster. I wanted something that would represent all the Sabbath, but no, it's funny because nobody ever seemed to, I think, notice that it was Black Sabbath. But
cool.
I kind of stopped wearing it because it sort of went out of fashion in the 90s. And this is my
We mentioned this. We mentioned this. This is pretty.
This is from my good friend Desmond Root, who does. You can find him on Facebook, Desmond Ambrose Root, or Bestial Invasions, and he he hand paints these battle vests, and this is the single best one I have ever seen.
Yeah, this is pretty mind blowing. So if you're a fan of Sabbath, you got so many albums represented here. You know, I mean, just look, you got Born Again, Headless Cross, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, Live Evil, Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules. Chris, what am I missing here?
Nope, you got them all.
Basically all of them, right? Just gorgeous stuff.
Dez kept busting my chops every time he was painting it. He's like, I'm going to sneak in the Never Say Die guy on there because he knows I hate that.
No.
But
and we got all sorts of pins and stuff. You got Venom, Fear Factory, Sam Hain, Corrosion of Conformity, Slayer, Scorpions, all sorts of cool stuff on the front.
I can't tell you how many times when I wear that at a concert, people will stop me and take pictures.
Oh, hell yeah.
People have bought me beers. I met one guy at the End show in Omaha, and then ran into him just recently at the Judas Priest show, and he was like, I wasn't even wearing the jacket. And he was like, oh my God, you're the guy with the jacket. So yeah,
I went to see Uriah Heep about 2 months ago in Peekskill, and I actually mentioned you that night because there was a dude who had a Uriah Heep jacket just like this with all the classic covers on the back.
No kidding.
And I'm like, my buddy Chris has a Black Sabbath one, very similar to that, obviously. Different bands, different album covers, awesome. But kind of cool like this,
But yeah, if you're looking for your jacket painted, Bestial Invasions on Facebook, because he loves doing that stuff.
Yeah, that's great work on that. Great work on that. All right, what else we got here, Chris?
This is a Live Evil painter's cap. This is from 1982. Pete, when you saw them, were they selling that? I assume they were, but they might not have.
You gotta remember, I was only
that's true.
I was only 16 at the time. It was a long time ago. I'm an old guy. They might have.
Yeah.
I remember back then.
It's got this logo on it that they only used for that year's tour.
They probably did because back then they sold a lot of hats at these shows. So my guess
that was a big thing.
I don't remember though.
But that was
too long ago for me.
Let's see what else. This is there's a Live Evil tapestry from 1983. They used to make these in the 80s. They made big ones and small ones. Let's see what else. Since we're on the Mob Rules. What else? This was I wore this all through high school. This is an official. It looks like a bootleg, but it's not. It's official. It's a Black Sabbath Mob Rules studded wristband.
That's pretty cool.
I don't know if they sold that at the show, but I had that one. I have another one here, an unused one. I got this fairly recently. I'm a fan of Mego toys from the 70s, and this is a Mob Rules Mego style action figure.
Look at that,
which is pretty neat.
Yeah, it is very cool. Very cool.
Let's see what else. I just grabbed a bunch of random stuff. This is the Canadian pressing of 7 Star
cassette,
where they printed the artwork black on black.
Yeah, and you can't see shit.
You can somewhat see it in the heavy light, but otherwise it looks like Smell the Glove.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
Nothing.
That always cracked me up.
Yep.
Then this was a promo cassette that they did for Headless Cross. Same thing. This has no artwork, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's no. They sent this to record stores and radio stations, and there's no name on the. It's got the
tracks.
It's got the song listings.
No band, no album name.
Yeah, it's a 4-track cassette tape. I just thought it was very strange, and I kind of like oddball stuff when it comes to Black Sabbath. Speaking of which, there was several of these. I have them all, but couldn't find the rest. But it's the Black Sabbath race car.
What year was this released?
I want to say
that's very cool.
Late 90s, maybe early 2000s. It's just such a bizarre thing.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
But
you don't want to take that out of the package, right?
No,
that's gonna be worth some money someday.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Let's see. There's a couple of CDs. We should have mentioned Jeff Fenholt.
Yeah.
Who was the preacher who came in? Around the time of 7 Star. Before Tony settled on Glenn Hughes, he actually did work on the songs, and it's a bootleg CD, and it's the early versions of a
lot of different titles, but basically the same songs.
Yeah. When we open it up, it has the listing of what the songs wound up being.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
But yeah, Jeff Fenholt was a guy who famously...
I never heard any of this. How does he sound?
He's okay. He's not a bad singer.
It's no Glenn Hughes.
I mean, it's no Glenn Hughes, so there's no. But this guy rose to fame because in the '90s he started going on talk shows saying how I'm a reformed drug addict, and I was a Satan worshiper because I was the lead singer of Black Sabbath.
Oh,
but then he became a preacher, and it was like I remember my sister asking me, I'm like, this guy wasn't really in Sabbath. He wrote a book, and he mentioned...
Oh, so he was milking that.
He milked it forever. But, listen, if you never recorded a record and you never played a show, you really weren't in Black Sabbath.
Right.
No offense, Jeff Bell.
Right.
but yeah, that's an interesting one. This is the 13 record. Signed by Tony, Ozzy, and Geezer.
Cool.
Let's see what else. This is a pretty interesting one. Yeah. This is a 4-disc box set of the Dehumanizer sessions with Cozy Powell. There's a bunch of different songs on there. Some stuff that never got released.
I would like to hear this.
The quality is a little rough, but it's the only thing out there. The story was, after Cozy died, his girlfriend, I don't know if she just took him or she was willed them or inherited them. I don't know. But she took apparently hundreds of audio cassettes of his. So the bootleg market was flooded with stuff like this. I also have...
He played with everybody.
He played with everybody. So I have this. I have at home other live shows he did with Sabbath. The Rainbow mixes came from Cozy Powell.
And they released all that.
Then they eventually did release, some... the Rainbow reissues had some of that, cleaned up versions later. But I often wonder, again, like Carnival of Souls and the Depth sessions, all right, well, did the bootleggers kind of force the hand of the record companies to put this stuff in the stores?
Yeah, probably.
Let's see what else I got. This is an autographed copy of the Devil You Know, signed by Tony, Geezer, and Vinny. This is an alternate mix for Black Sabbath Forbidden. And even the alternate mix, it's still a horrible record. But this is another alternate mix.
We talked about this.
Yeah, this is the alternate mix of Born Again. It's not the definitive mix, and hopefully one day they will come out with that.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Let's see what else. This is a poster from the Japanese pressing of Cross Purposes. And I was in the Black Sabbath fan club for years in the 80s and the 90s. So I got a backstage pass, and I got to meet the band and had Tony Martin, Tony Iommi, Jeff Nichols, and Bobby Rondinelli sign the poster. Geezer Butler was not present there. Yeah, and on the back, it's got the Black Sabbath family tree,
which is pretty cool. Yeah, I always dug that kind of stuff.
Let's see what else I got.
He's got all sorts of stuff. All sorts of junk.
This is Blackest Sabbath. This was my favorite Sabbath best of from '87 because it included tracks from every record. It's a gatefold that opens up. You have all the songs. But I just thought it was really, really cool that it covered every record. Let's see. This is the Headless Cross picture disc.
Picture disc. That's pretty neat. On the back, the cover.
I remember watching Tony Iommi on Night Flight in '86, where he was talking about the first record coming out with an upside down cross. I'm like, what's he talking about? I have that record. There's no upside down cross. And when I went to England, I found the gatefold version with the upside down cross and the poem about
bingo. There you go.
Whatever. And I brought that backstage at the Hammersmith Odeon. I had Geezer Butler sign it on the front. He was obsessed with my name, my last name being Alo. So he would be like, the whole interview was like, hello. And on the back, he wrote "Piss Off" from the little bird. He had a couple drinks in him that day. He was a fun guy to talk to. Let's see what else. That's kind of There's my there's the Tear picture disc.
That's pretty cool.
Which I think was England only.
Pretty cool lineup there when you think about it.
Oh, yeah. Really great record. Great
Neil
lineup.
Murray, Cozy. You know.
This is the... this is from, I believe this one's from the 80s. That's a Paranoid picture disc. Let's see what else. I think we'll do these two. On the Headless Cross tour, merchandising was kind of slim, and they did. They only had 2 T-shirts. I remember going in with a lot of money, and I said I'll take one of everything, and they
just one, not much to get. Right?
It's just 2 shirts, a bandana, and I think a necklace, and I bought that too. Yeah, I never understood, what is this supposed to be? I guess it's like a devil sort of guy.
Yeah, it's like you know what else looks like? It looks like a skull with 2 pens sticking out of its head.
Well, see, I always thought they were like rockets.
And maybe they are. I don't know.
But they could be pens. Maybe they're cigarettes.
I don't know. They look like pens to me, dude. I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever. Who knows?
Who knows?
It's terrible. Whatever.
It's terrible. It didn't make any sense. Here's a couple
tour programs.
So
here we got the '78 tour. Okay. Never Say Die tour. We got, of course, the Heaven and Hell. And then we got another one here. Born Again. There's a Devil Baby. And Cross Purposes. Nice little collection of them here.
These are the Mob Rules tour books, the 3 different ones.
Yep. Back in the day when a band would do different tour booklets, throughout the course of the tour, rather than just one that lasted the whole tour. This is pretty neat.
And of course, that one always fascinated me because all the pictures are from the Heaven and Hell tour, and they put the album cover on the front because.
So this is probably from early in the tour.
Yes, that's definitely from the beginning of the tour.
This is the one that I have also from later in the tour. Cool one. And then we got this last one here. Probably from I think Chris said this from the tail end of the tour.
Yes.
Cool stuff.
Let's see what else. This was again from the Black Sabbath fan club. An artist did a portrait of Tony Iommi, which it's a nice picture, but
looks a little like Geezer too.
A little bit, and I always just thought, well, shouldn't he have been a body shot with him with a guitar?
Yeah.
But the nice thing was Tony autographed all of them, and they sent it to all the fan club members.
Kind of nice.
Which is great. I mean, they would charge big money for that today. Let's see what else. This was a book that only came out in England. You can still get it off Amazon UK, and it's the Black Sabbath Vault, and they go the entire history of the band, and inside there's reproductions of like ticket stubs and posters. But what's really nice is there's a lot of text. They talk about every member of the band, and the photography is unbelievable.
Off the charts.
And I don't believe it was ever released in America. It's only a couple years old.
This is like a perfect coffee table book. This is like if you got friends coming over who are interested in the band or metal in general or whatever, this is what you keep out and you say, hey, take a look at this.
Absolutely. As long as you're not drinking.
Yeah, you don't want to smell anything on this. No, not at all.
But it's a neat little book that you can still get. Now, last year, 2016, I guess, was the end tour. And the last leg of the tour, they had a VIP experience thing, and I was able to go in and watch the band sound check. They did Symptom of the Universe and instrumental, and they did a couple songs with Ozzy, and that was really cool. And they also gave you they gave you all-you-can-drink beer for an hour. That was great.
Can't beat that.
But they also advertised as giving a book which was going to have reproduction memorabilia. So when I went, I just assumed it was going to be a copy of the Vault book that I already had, but it was a completely different book, which they did a really nice job with. It has guitar picks, and it has pendants, and it has some reproductions of more, concert posters. But again, the reason to have it is, man, the photography in here is just unbelievable. And the VIP experience was kind of pricey, but this book is currently going for $200 on eBay.
Wow. Yeah, look at this. All the picks, guitar picks on the right-hand side here. Very nice. Oh, yeah, look at that.
Yeah, I mean, the photography is just gorgeous.
Wow.
They have the tour dates for every tour. But I was mentioning to Pete, on the inside, it says Black Sabbath 1970 to 2016, but it goes blank from 1979 till Ozzy rejoins in 1997.
So sorry, Dio, Gillen, Hughes, Martin.
Forgetting some stuff in there. But still a great book if you can get it for cheap. This is Sounds Magazine. They did a special on Sabbath in 1983. That was for the Live Evil record. Ronnie had already gone, but they did a really interesting interview with Tony and Geezer and Ronnie, and it's got some awesome pictures.
Check this out.
Reviews of every record. They talk about the tours, and I wanted to bring it up the last time, Pete, that I remembered somewhere where there was an interview where Tony Iommi had said he wasn't happy with the Mob Rules record and that he thought the stuff that they threw away was better than the stuff that was on the record. And sure enough, it's in this interview.
Oh, really?
And then he also details about how insanely happy they were with the Live Evil record, which of course he would recount that later on. So if you can find it, it's a great little magazine from...
That's number 8?
Yeah. A Sounds Fan Library. I think this one was a special edition one.
Yeah.
Outside the regular Sounds.
I've got a Sounds Guitar Heroes over here with Blackmore. Number 5. So, okay, shortly thereafter then. Pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How could you not be happy with the Mob Rules?
Right, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I'm sure you ask him today, he doesn't say that.
No, definitely not. He's, with time, I remember interviewing him, asking him how's it feel now that everybody seems to like the Tony Martin era, and 30 years ago, people were not saying, his exact words were, where were these people years ago?
Exactly, when we were struggling, right? Yeah.
So, time changes everything. These are a couple, Pete was showing my painted jackets, but if you didn't have a friend that could paint them for you, then you could buy big...
Sew them on.
Big back patches.
Yep. Cool.
This is the
other version.
The unused version of the Black Sabbath Mob Rules wristband.
Yep.
I was at a monster movie convention, and the guy had 5 of them, and I bought all 5 of them.
Yeah, how cool is that?
These are kind of neat. These are ads from trade magazines, and I knew a guy that used to cut them out and then laminate them. So the first one was for Black Sabbath 1. There's an ad, and the second one is a trade ad for the Paranoid tour. It's promoting the single for Iron Man. And then the third one was for the Born Again record.
Yep.
Let's see what else. A couple other things.
Pretty cool.
Try not to... let me see. Oh, yeah. This was kind of neat.
Yeah, I like this. Recognize this, folks? It's the mirror from the cover of the Reunion Live album. Here we are.
That was a really oddball kind of thing. I remember. Oh, yep, and there we go. There's also the Black Sabbath candelabra.
Oh yeah.
This is very
cool.
My buddy Frank White is a world famous rock photographer, and he's shot Sabbath many, many times. He shot Sabbath on the Headless Cross tour. That's from the opening night in Poughkeepsie that I was at. So Frank gave me the shots, and then I had Tony Iommi sign it one of the times I met him. This is, of course, my all-time favorite record by my all-time favorite band.
Signed
by Tony, Ronnie, Geezer, and Vinny. And I think the only other thing I have is from Christmas 1992. When I was shocked to receive in the mail a Christmas card signed by Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to see.
I don't know if that's going to...
Yeah, we're not going to be able to see. It's all whited out here. But anyway, they're
signed
by all of them. Yep. kind of cool. That must have been nice to get.
Yeah, that was a shocker for sure. Again, man, that Black Sabbath fan club, that was awesome. They would never do that today. Nobody gives anything away for free anymore.
No.
But yeah, that's it.
That's a lot of stuff. I got to thank Chris for bringing all that stuff.
Oh, sure.
I've got like a pale imitation of stuff, but whatever. It's what you got and what you like and what you've accumulated. You could literally open up a room like a Sabbath museum.
Yeah.
And you may want to do that someday, right?
Hey, never say
never say. All right, I've had this for a million years. God, when did this even come out?
I believe that came out in 1982.
Yeah.
Because it talks about the mob rules.
Yeah.
Great book.
82, you are correct. So I don't know if I bought it in 82. Not that long after. This is the Chris Welch book on Sabbath. First ever Sabbath biography.
Yes, I meant to say that. How crazy is that? That it took till that point for somebody to write a book on that.
Yeah. Not a great book, but you know what? At the time, I thought
that's all there was.
I thought it was fabulous because I was so into the band. I was like, yes.
I read it many times, but like I said, I hate that in the last paragraph he kills Sabbath and is like, "Oh, Diary of a Madman is more Sabbath than Mob Rules."
Yeah,
I didn't like that.
No. Something I still have.
Yeah.
This is the Kerrang! Magazine. That was all about Glenn Hughes and Tony hooking up for 7 Star. I had the David Donato issue, but I don't know where. I don't know if I obviously couldn't find it. And this is pretty cool. I'm trying to find out where they're at in here.
That was probably the press for so that's probably early '86. So they're doing press for 7 Star.
Yeah. Where is it?
There it is.
There's Tony. And there's the band. All right,
this short-lived lineup.
Yeah, and that's kind of what most of them were wearing in that damn video too, because Glenn was always walking around in that big long trench coat and stuff. But kind of neat. And then a couple things I wanted to show real quick. Chris is going to get you're not going to be able to see him, but at least I want to be able to show.
I'll see him. I'll tell you.
Yeah, exactly. So.
These are all your ticket stubs.
These are all my ticket stubs. So there it is.
Fantastic.
Mob Rules Show, Black Sabbath,
that's
1982, $12.50.
Wow, that's fantastic. You couldn't even pay for the service charge.
No, exactly. That's it right there. So there's that one. I mean,
and that was what, your 4th or 5th concert?
That was my. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th.
Wow.
6th.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, pretty cool. And then...
they're all Ticketron, and they're so colorful.
I know, yeah, those back in the day, it was kind of crazy, huh? All right, so I'm looking for... What am I looking for here?
Well, probably
Born Again, yeah, so that's 83.
84.
So, that's got to be here. I must have gone by it.
They swung through. They did the Meadowlands of Nassau in October 1983. I want to say like October 30th. It was right around Halloween.
Black Sabbath with Quiet Riot.
October 29th,
1983, and $13.50.
Wow!
So it went up a buck.
Fantastic.
That's it right there. Okay, the old Ticketron days, and then we'll fast forward to that one right there. So
7 Star,
that's
yeah.
7 Star one, March 24th, 1986.
How much was that one?
That was $15.50.
Wow.
So that's with Wasp and Anthrax. So by this time, Ticketmaster stopped with all the damn colors, or Ticketron, I should say.
Yeah, that was Ticketmaster.
That actually, you're very right. That was the very early days, because look, here I got the Dawkins show and the Metallica, and that was Ticketron. That was early '86.
And then,
July, and then by the time you got to, June, there's Judas Priest with Dokken at the Metal.
And they both coexisted for a few years.
Yeah, you're right.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, Ticketmaster just bought Ticketron out.
Yep. Yeah, I think you were,
absolutely. Because, I mean, go back to here, you got more Ticketron.
Yeah.
But, man, how awesome is it that, A, you still have your ticket stubs, but B, how terrible is it today? And I meant to tell you, you could do a whole rant on this. I hate the fact that there's no ticket stubs anymore, because
you can get them, but now you got to pay for them, right? It's like,
well, you just print off that sheet of Ticketmaster, and I hate that. They throw those away.
Well, you know what? I save them just because, but man, I just put one in here today. I put my Priest one in here today.
Oh, did you?
And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, that's just ugly. There's literally that's what you get now.
But Pete's making it look good by folding it up.
Yeah, I cut it out and I whatever. But I still, when I can get an actual ticket stub.
Oh yes, I prefer them. But you're right. You do have to pay for them if you request.
Yeah. Or sometimes you can do a will call and they may not charge you. But so you can see like when I can, I get the actual ticket stub. Because I just can't stand these damn printout things.
No, it's true. But yeah, that's great.
And stuff. I got a bunch of other Sabbaths from like the 90s and the 2000s. But yeah. So that's it, guys. We're pretty much done. Well, we're not done with Sabbath, but we're done doing Sabbath shows. So I hope you enjoyed this. So we had the history of, and now a kind of wrap up our favorite stuff. And if this isn't why we're Sabbath fans, or if you can't tell that we're Sabbath fans by seeing all this stuff, come on.
Right.
This is what it's like to be a fan, right? And we may both kind of work in the music industry here as writers and journalists and photographers and whatever, and blogists or bloggers, whatever. But it's okay to be a fan also.
Oh, absolutely.
And collect stuff. And it's just fun. And it's all this stuff, means a lot to us. As well as the music of the band. So make sure you visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're here. We've been here like almost every day on YouTube the last couple of weeks, busy doing stuff. This guy is going to come back because we are already talking about doing a Judas Priest history of show.
If Pete will have me back, I'd be honored to come back.
It's a done deal. You're coming back. So sometime over the next couple of weeks, expect to see a nice jam-packed show of everything Judas Priest. We'll do like a complete history of the band, full album discussions, as well as we'll pick our favorite 5 Pete Priest albums. So look for that over the next couple of weeks. So, my friend.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Pete. Pleasure. Thanks everybody for watching.
Yep. Thanks. So until next time.
Stuff, and we'll see you next time.
Take care. Bye-bye.